I don't know how many of you are aviation enthusiasts, but if you are, you're going to enjoy the pictures I'm about to show you because they've just been released by Boeing. They want to showcase their new 787 Dreamliner plane, and I tell you what, the pictures are pretty dramatic. Look at this. This is a special sort of stunt performed by a pilot, a Dreamliner pilot. He looks like he's about to do a loop-the-loop, but he just pulls out of it. But there you go. That's the new Dreamliner being launched over the coming days.
Atlantis now beginning what is known as the pre-flare maneuver. It will pull the nose up a little bit right before it hits the runway. Its speed now 320 miles per hour. The gear is down and locked. Main gear touchdown. Atlantis' nose being now rotated down toward the runway, the chute being deployed. And nose gear touchdown. Space Shuttle Atlantis now comes home to the Kennedy Space Center for the final time. 25 years, 32 flights, and more than 120 million miles traveled. The legacy of Atlantis now in the history books.
In the first part of Lester Holt's report here tonight, the landing gear on a 767 widebody flying from Newark to Warsaw refuses to come down. No one had ever tried an emergency landing with this aircraft in precisely this condition before. Some of the passengers realized just how dire the situation is, including an American named Greg Cohen, who sends a final goodbye to his wife and children on his cell phone. Here now, Lester Holt resumes his report.
In the skies over Warsaw, LOT Polish Airlines Flight 16, with 231 on board, was just seconds away from attempting an emergency landing like no other. Across Poland, millions of viewers were watching the drama unfold on live television. And as the plane descended over the city, residents ran out to take photos. Captain Tad Vrona had spent the last hour and 20 minutes trying to lower the wide-body 767's landing gear, all of its wheels and its braking system, but to no avail. And he had no choice but to belly flop the plane, with its engines acting like the runners of a sled onto a concrete runway. As you can see in this actual video shot inside the cabin, in the final moments, the passengers were ready for the worst. Air traffic controllers wished the captain good luck, and in the last few seconds, he turned to his co-pilot, just in case.
I said to my first officer, I am happy that we are together, and I said thank you, and we shake hands. I thank you.
Like the other passengers, Greg Cohen had his head between his legs.
What were the final instructions before the landing?
They had us get in ready position, and they were telling us to brace for impact. Praying to God that everything was going to be okay. And I'm just saying to myself, okay, get ready, get ready, get ready, bracing for impact.
And then it happened. Flight 16 touched down at more than 140 miles an hour. This is the moment of contact on the runway, shot from inside the cabin.
And then we touched down, and the impact never came. You know, I was waiting for this, you know, like car crash to be in an accident.
No bounce?
I have to be honest, it was one of the smoothest landings I've ever had.
Incredibly, it was a smooth touchdown. A miracle in Warsaw.
You know, the plane came to a stop, and everybody roared with applause, but it didn't last more than 2 seconds. You had the flight attendant immediately stand up and just yell, "Get off this plane now!"
Suddenly, there was another danger. There was smoke and a fire on the right side engine. Flight attendant Magda Gortat yelled at the top of her lungs.
Get off, get up, get off to the exit. Because I was sure that it's gonna explode in a moment.
This is actual video of the evacuation from on board the plane. Passengers rushed for the emergency slides, and a few fell as they tried to run away. But emergency crews were able to douse the flames and the fuel leak quickly. The plane didn't explode, and except for a few scrapes and bruises, everyone got off unharmed.
It didn't really hit me until I was off the plane. And that's when, you know, I really got emotional. That's when it hit me like, oh my God, you know, what could have been?
Greg called Michelle the moment he was clear of the plane.
I was just so happy he was on the ground, and, you know, I heard his voice crack, which, you know, his voice never cracks.
Really, I appreciate, you know, being with my kids a little bit more and try to take a little extra time for the important things in life because, look, it could all be gone in a second.
And as for the pilot who got the flight down safely, Captain Wrona became a Polish national hero. And in America, he was honored for saving 231 lives. We caught up with the captain at the Museum of Flight in Seattle.
We just did our job. I am not hero.
But Americans on board Flight 16 begged to differ, comparing him to the hero of the Miracle on the Hudson.
I thought that our captain was Poland's version of Sully.
Same incredible amount of airmanship.
Yes.
What would you like to say to Captain Wrona?
I want to say thank you. You know, if it wasn't for him, maybe 230 plus people wouldn't be here right now, and you know, I'm forever indebted to him for that.
Incredible story. Our thanks to Lester Holt for that. And by the way, the investigation into what went wrong is still going on. There's more.
my God.
We're following this news alert in Tampa. It's a giant, an Air Force C-17 landed at the wrong airport. Officials are trying to figure out how the mistake happened. Now, the huge military jet was headed to MacDill Air Force Base, but the pilot landed at Peter O. Knight, a small municipal airport on nearby Davis Islands. Fox 13's Steph DiPietrantonio is live at Peter O. Knight. And Steph, big cargo jet, small runway. How are they going to fix it?
You know, Chip, that is the 400,000-pound question here tonight. As you can see, the massive aircraft is still stuck here behind me on the airstrip, and it looks like it's going to be there for a little while. The real problem here is the airstrip is only designed to hold about 20,000 pounds. So if you do the math, they've got a lot of work to do here to lighten the load, and it's really becoming somewhat of a spectacle here along the fence, along the sidelines here. Folks keep asking, how do you think it's going to make it off this runway and get over to MacDill? Skyfox got some amazing angles of this just a little while ago. It's been on the ground since about 1:20, 1:30 this afternoon. The scuttlebutt here on the street is, from some pilots we spoke with, is that the aircraft may be grounded for maybe up to 24 hours. Now, one of those pilots was a corporate pilot. You heard his video there from his iPhone. He saw the whole thing. He was waiting for his plane to leave to go back over to TIA when he saw this C-17 flying too low. He said he laughed to himself. He knew the pilot must have made a mistake and gotten the wrong airstrip. Another thing we're hearing here on the sidelines is that people are also complimenting that pilot on making a safe landing. Now, keeping in mind, yeah, this may be one big oops, but the good thing is the plane landed safely. It's in a very crowded neighborhood here on Davis Islands. Nobody got hurt except maybe the pilot's pride, a little bruising here tonight, Chip.
Steph, the question is, how does it take off? That runway over there was 1,000 feet too short for that massive plane to get back up into the air. What are they going to do, take it apart?
Well, one of the guys we spoke with who is a pilot, him and his wife were sitting here on the sidelines. We're told that the strip is about 3,500 feet long, and that kind of plane can't take off in just that amount of space. I did some research, and I guess the northeast and the southwest strips here were lengthened back in 2008. They're going to need every inch they can to get this thing off the airstrip. Now, the good news is they can take some fuel out of the plane. They can take whatever cargo might be on the plane off of there potentially. 2 buses have shown up behind me here from MacDill. We don't know what's going on out there yet. All the Air Force has said is they've confirmed it's one of their planes that's landed here. What they're going to do to either lighten the plane or move it, we don't know yet, Chip.
So they're not saying how he ended up at Peter O. Knight because there's no control tower at that airport.
There is not a control tower. In fact, one of our Fox 13 producers, Alan Fedders, who's also a pilot, said this is what's called an uncontrolled airstrip, that really the pilots rely on each other and line of sight. There's no tower you're talking to land here. Of course, over at MacDill, you're talking to several folks. This was actually Tampa's main airport from 1935 to 1945, built as part of the Works Progress Administration. So now it's just a local municipal airstrip, but you really got to rely on that old gentleman's way here, Chip, to land by talking to other pilots and just using your line of sight and seeing who else is in the air. I think one of the big problems too is we've had some extreme heat here this past 10 days. Those airstrips, you get a plane that heavy landing on something like that, it could sink, there could be damage to the airstrip. There's going to be a lot of questions after this plane finally gets out of here, Chip.
All right, thanks a lot, Steph. Appreciate that.